Hey there everyone! Welcome back to another exciting video for the Shibarium community and its partners. I'm Cezanne Shib, and my mission is to spread knowledge and positivity within the Shibarium ecosystem. This video is the second of all X Space Weekly DAO update series. This X Space was held February 8th, 2024.
Hello? Oh my goodness, the music's over. Everybody take a deep breath. Stand up from your chairs. Give the band some applause. They've been playing their hearts out for the last 11 minutes. They need a break too. Hi, welcome to a K9 Finance Weekly DAO update, the one of what is going to be a number of these things going forward. And what we can do for anybody that's wondering is, since this is a recorded spaces, we can clip out that extra music. That's no big deal. That's just extra lead in right there. So let's do a bit of a room reset for everybody that's stuck through it right there. Welcome to a K9 Finance Weekly DAO update. My name is Shane, or Pulse Digital. I'm here in the co-host spot, and we are here today to do a weekly update, one of what is going to be many weekly updates for K9 Finance. So I appreciate you guys sticking around through the lead-in. We need to do a little bit of microphone testing before we get started. Buzz, is your microphone connected? How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am well.
Okay.
Yes, sounds good and clear. Am I clear on your end as well?
Yep.
Excellent. Sweet. So I don't want to keep everybody waiting, because the idea behind these spaces, because this week we're kind of doing like a what are these spaces is the idea. We got some wicked feedback on that. We're going to need to mute that. That might be the microphone on the laptop that's doing that. Somebody unmuted the K9 account, and that was the feedback on that. I think we're good now. There we go. We're good on that. All right. So what are we doing with weekly DAO updates, and why are we up here? So first of all, why am I up here? Because I will be a member of the DAO, and I'm a public speaker. So that's why I'm up here helping today. And I'm here to introduce Buzz and a lot of what we've been working on. So these going forward, these spaces are going to be weekly updates where we go over what the project's been up to, what's going on in the DAO, maybe what the community is up to, highlighting some of the things that they've been involved in and stuff like that. So this week, it's been an incredibly busy week, obviously, this being the first K9 Finance specific spaces. You've seen K9 spaces all over the place, I think, in the last 2 weeks, because all of the marketing and all of the outreach that's been going on leading up to the announcement of the official Shibarium SHIB partnership and stuff like that. So without further ado, what I want to do is hand this over to Buzz, because since this is the first weekly update, this is kind of his chance to really spell out what these are going to look like going forward and talk about what we're going to get into today specifically. So Buzz, the floor is yours, bud.
Sounds good. Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for everybody being here. Obviously, a few mic hiccups before we started, but we're here now. And yeah, just about 10 days into our marketing now, and just wanted to give a bit of a general overview of where we're at and what we've done. So people who are not really in tune with the day-to-day can kind of understand everything that's going on. We have killer organic growth right now, which is incredible, and the recognition that we're receiving from the SHIB community is amazing. So really happy about this.
Right, and you've been doing a lot of outreach. Like I said, there's been spaces all over the place leading up to what I think was a big deal was the magazine. You guys were mentioned heavily in the latest edition of the SHIB magazine, right?
Yeah, definitely one of our best weeks here. Just give me 1 second. I'm still having some mic issues, and I'm just going to try to troubleshoot that, because I think I'm getting some background feedback.
Sure, no problem. In the meantime, while he's doing that, we've got a little bit of stuff that we're going to be going through, and then we're going to save some time at the end, because like I said, these are meant to be about a 45-minute to an hour at the most spaces every week. So we will save some time at the end for anybody that's got questions, comments, concerns, or just wants to come up, and if we have the time, to talk at the end. So as we're going through this, if you hear anything that sparks your interest, if you hear anything that gets you a question, make sure you write it down so you don't forget it, or you can use the comments in the bottom right. If while we're talking you hear something that you want to comment on, you can also use the share button and the emoji button. There's a lot of buttons down there, so be sure to interact with those buttons down there. Buzz, are you back? Did you get it cleaned up?
I am back.
That sounds better. Yeah.
Perfect. Okay. Sorry for the mix-up there. First, as we started, I just wanted to give a shout out to some of the people in our community who have been working incredibly hard. I know a lot of them are in the room here. Just want to give a shout out to Radar, Crypto Dog, Drom G, Thor, and YouSun. A lot of them have been doing some amazing work within our community, and just wanted to give a shout out for what they do in our chat. Sometimes those people go unappreciated, and it's very, very much appreciated in the DAO. So thank you everybody very much. The first thing I wanted to touch on is that our light paper is now live. So that went live yesterday. I've gotten some amazing feedback on that. I would encourage everyone to give it a read. I think this is really going to be setting a new standard for how things should really be done on Shibarium. And I think that a lot of people are seeing the professionalism there and a lot of the work that went into it. So thank you everybody for the patience there.
I read through that when it came out and took a couple of screenshots myself, because I thought there were a couple of really vital pieces of information that were conveyed in a few of those graphics. And I thought to myself, for anybody that's in the telegrams or that might be talking to other users about K9 Finance, because of the nature of liquid staking, at least from my initial conversations, I didn't know anything about liquid staking. I've had to learn all of this as we led up to this. We're going to be having, like I've said in other places, this same initial conversation about what is this, how does it work, what's in it for me. And the light paper had a couple of graphics that I think, depending on what kind of learner you are, some people want the words, some people want pictures. So I snapped up those screenshots, and I would encourage anyone that hasn't went through the light paper at least to go to those graphics and take a look at that, absorb what they're talking about, because you're going to be having conversations or seeing conversations or hearing conversations about this concept and these different tokens, and why are there three of them, and what does it mean to have a illiquid token and stuff. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you didn't read the light paper yet, need to check it out, because the closer you are to the community, the more you have invested both emotionally and financially into what this is, the more you're going to want to know those details. So check out the light paper. I did pin up at the top, out of those 3 posts, one of those is the link to the new light paper. So if you haven't seen it yet, click on it, go bookmark that, save it for later, create a hard copy, print it out, bind it, study it like a quarterback's playbook. Was there anything in there, Buzz, that when you were going through and putting it into the light paper, what stands out to you as the highlight for that thing? Because I know you guys worked hard to put it together, but when you were putting it together, did something really go, man, people are going to love this part, or this really explained it well?
Yeah, I think it's really the explanation of how delegation currently works on Shibarium, and really starting to educate people on, okay, here's where K9 fits in, and showing how liquid staking can be beneficial to the entire ecosystem and how that's really driving TVL to the chain. I think that some of the interesting pieces in there that a lot of people are going to want to know are the finalized token economics, which are in there, the distribution of tokens, and also the token taxes that have been finalized. So I definitely encourage people to read those. It's a long read. I think it's about 16 to 18 pages. Somebody can probably correct me on that, but I think it's really important as a DAO and as a community that we all know this really well, so that we can shepherd DeFi adoption to Shibarium together.
And you used the phrase that I think we're going to be hearing a lot. You said it's going to help drive TVL to the chain. And I would ask to back up a little bit, because what would you say to someone who didn't know what that meant? What do you mean when you say drive TVL to the chain? What is TVL, and why is that important to, quote, drive to the chain? Explain why that's the mission.
Yeah, so TVL is total value locked. It's basically metric that shows how much money is on the blockchain. So currently, how Shibarium works is people delegate their bone on Ethereum. That's just how the validators work. So that value and that money, that bone that's locked up, is represented on the Ethereum chain, and it's unusable. So it's really not promoting liquidity and activity directly on Shibarium. The only purpose it's serving right now, which is a great purpose, is securing the Shibarium blockchain. And then those delegators, of course, they get their rewards, but their bone is locked up. So the difference here with K9 is that people still do that same action. They're participating in the security of the chain, but the TVL is now going to be represented on Shibarium. So when somebody delegates, say they delegate $100 in bone, they would get that $100 in K9 bone directly on Shibarium to use as liquidity for any activity that they wish.
So I'm looking at my clock, and that was from the 20 to the 22-minute mark, and that is a fantastic little clip. Somebody circle that on the little Spaces timestamp, because that's a great explanation of why this is important to you, because I know coming from liquid staking in your background that you've seen this work. You've talked about, I think it's like the 22.7 billion that's currently on the other platform that I don't even want to give any credit to here, but we all know that we're looking at other platforms that have done this. This is not an absolutely new concept, but you're promoting doing this on a chain that needs, I don't dare I say needs, to give people an opportunity to kind of show that they're serious. And locking TVL onto Shibarium, even if you do this with your bone and you get the new version of bone, the K9 bone, and you're not trading with it, at least you're now parked on a validator that's working for Shibarium and not Ethereum, right? In theory, that's inherently better for the chain, right?
100%. The more TVL or the more liquidity that's on Shibarium, the more money that people are going to have to participate in DeFi protocols, participate in purchasing other NFTs, use DEXs, participate in farming. It's really, people use this term in crypto all the time, of like when the Uniswap airdrop happened, or just last week on Solana, or maybe it was this week when the Jupe airdrop happened. They call it like a stimulus or a stimmy in the sort of degen DeFi world. And I truly think that when the K9 Finance product launches, this is kind of the stimmy or stimulus for Shibarium. There's going to be a ton of TVL driving directly to the chain in the form of liquidity. And yes, it's not in an airdrop like these other traditional ones like Uniswap or Jupe on Solana, but it's the millions of dollars that are currently locked in bone that are delegated to validators, that immediately, if those people come to use K9 Finance, those millions of dollars are going to be put back onto the Shibarium chain for liquidity to be used everywhere.
So I've been working really hard to absorb this for the last 2 weeks. So let me see if I can spit this back and it sounds right to you, because you're the authority to me about how this works. Essentially, if this works like that, all these people are going to rush over here when the product launches, and they're going to take what they were staking, all this bone that was currently staked on Ethereum validators, and they are going to slam it into the new K9 product, and they're going to come out the other side having staked their bone just like they previously were, comfy as could be in their staking position. But now they find themselves on the other side of the portal with the same amount of what is now wrapped bone. And as long as they stay within like the mall of Shibarium, you know, and there's all these different stores, all these different DEXs, all these different products, that money can be played with in and amongst that area, almost like tokens at a Chuck E. Cheese. But previously they were just locked up on Ethereum. They weren't doing anything. It was idle. It was just chilling out and validating. But when they do it with you guys, they're going to be able to do that, and if they so choose, be liquid with it at the same time because of this token. Am I anywhere close to right in how I'm describing that?
Yeah, that's a great summary. I mean, I always try to use these as opportunities to explain it in different ways. So if people really like that explanation, I encourage you to go to our Telegram and let us know, because ultimately the goal of the DAO is to educate people on how this works and why it's a great thing for Shibarium and foster that DeFi adoption. So together as a community, if we can learn how to explain this in a friendly manner to the masses, that's going to be incredible.
Yeah, Lightspeed always said I had a thing for metaphors and similes. So in my mind, I'm just picturing the DApp as a portal, and you're just walking that bone right through and coming out the other side with a new version of it. It's pretty neat. Now that it's taken me some time, I won't lie. I've had to absorb it over time with many sleeps between, but I'm starting to get there, and I'm really excited. Now, I want to swerve into recently there was some audits that you guys went through with Solidity Finance. Do you want to talk a little bit about what that was?
Yeah, so the development for the K9 token is now done. And with that, we have sent over the GitHub to the auditors, and we passed a successful audit. So Solidity Finance did the audit, very successful audit results. And if anybody wants to read those, they are in the footer of our website, transparently published for everyone to review. And that's just to make sure that when we launch the token here in early March, that everyone's safe when they're using it, and there's a third-party public piece of information for everybody to read and learn and understand exactly how the token works, so that there's no surprises.
And then the security of the vesting contracts is also being verified too, since we're talking about safety, right?
Yeah, so the vesting contracts are currently undergoing QA testing. I believe our team is finishing up that just today. Tomorrow we will send that over to the same third-party independent auditor, and I hope by the end of next week we will be able to publish those results as well. And those vesting contracts are for pretty much all of the tokens that are not going to be in circulation at the TGE date. So this includes people who participated in the pre-sale, who participated in a vesting round. It includes advisors who vest over 2 years. It includes even some of the treasury tokens and marketing tokens. So all of those tokens are going to be sent to our vesting contract. There'll be a portal on our website where people can go to, connect their wallet, and see the balance of their unclaimed tokens and claim them at any given point in time. So it's very important that we get that audited and secure, so that we know there's no hiccups going forward. So these are all best practices for a launch, and just want to update people that they're being done and everything's going to be published transparently.
And one question that I even had at one point was, you've talked about a cliff. For those that are vested, there's a cliff period. What does that mean in this context?
Yes, great question. So for some of the pre-sale rounds, the very early ones that got an FDV price that is a little bit lower than what we're going live at TGE, the vesting period for those groups are a 30-day cliff followed by a 1-year linear vesting period with 30-day disbursements. So a 30-day cliff means that you wait 30 days for the vesting to begin. And then after that 30 days, you then have a 12-month linear vesting period that gives people tokens every 30 days. So at day 0, you wait 30 days for vesting to start, and then at 30 days vesting starts. So 30 days later is when the first disbursements of tokens will go to those people who participated in those rounds of the pre-sale. So what that means conceptually for people who are getting into the project now, or maybe they participated in a pre-sale round that didn't have vesting, is that the first 30 days, the only tokens that are going to be in circulation are liquidity being added to Uniswap and non-vested pre-sale tokens. So the circulating market cap will be approximately around 750 to 800K when we first go live, and that computes to a fully diluted value of about $10 million at TGE. And then 30 days later, you'll have some tokens enter circulation that are from like the treasury. Obviously, those tokens are managed by the DAO, so they don't actually go into circulation. But 60 days after TGE is when tokens from some of the pre-salers will start to unlock.
And I'm going to take a shot at that in a more streetwise version of what he just said. there are going to be some people that lose their minds when this thing launches on Uniswap and they see it already has a $10 million market cap. But he just explained that it's not necessarily the right number because there's going to be fluctuation due to the changes in the circulating supply as it relates to these vesting contracts and stuff. So when you run into people who are fudding, because there are going to be people that are upset that it's like, oh my gosh, it's already a 10 million market cap. I already missed the boat. I can already picture it. Man, I can read them all already. The messages, people are going to be like, this should have launched at a 400,000 market cap, or, I only buy under 150,000. Don't worry, because those numbers are not even right out of the gate, because this vesting and the way these tokens are coming out. Is that fair to say, Buzz? Have you encountered stuff like that where people kind of get upset because they think these numbers were supposed to be at a certain place where a token launched?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what we're focused on is really making sure that transparently tokens are in the right buckets, and working with Lightspeed, of course, to make sure that we have the proper data aggregators to transparently show where tokens are and when they're coming into circulation. It's clearly updated on all of the sites like CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, etc. But like what circulating supply means is basically the tokens that are not investing contracts or not locked somewhere. You multiply that by the current price and you get the circulating market cap, and fully diluted value, FDV, is the total supply multiplied by current price. So that's kind of the delineation there.
Yep, and I think you're right when you say as long as it's transparent, as long as everybody can see where it's going, and you can just hold up just turn around the paper, right? Hold it up and go, well, look for yourself, man. I'm not here to do, I like explaining to people a lot of times that I'm not here to do the emotional labor. Like the data's out there. It's not my job to compile it. It's right here. We all have access to it in the same place. So if you're worried about the tokens or worried about it, it'll be there, because that's the point of data aggregation. So I want to swerve, because I know you've had, I've already talked about, you've had a very busy week or 2 weeks, and I know you're getting ready to take a little bit of like a dev-related hibernation period. So I want to go one more time and do a whistle-stop recap of some of the marketing highlights that you've been up to. And I know that it's been busy, but I want to start with like the SHIB paper, being in the SHIB paper, and then tell me about some of the things that have stood out for you over the last week or two about K9's partnerships, the announcements, the spaces, and stuff like that.
Yeah, some really exciting updates since our last DAO meeting. So we've added, I think, about 8 partners to our website, including shibarmy.co and ShibDream, Sharby, Shibarium University, SDA, Gresham International, who's our legal team, and there's more partners that are going to be coming week after week. We've added I think 5 different multi-language communities now on Telegram, including a Chinese community, Japanese community, Indonesian, Persian, and Spanish community, which is incredible to be so global just a few weeks into the project and before the token has even launched. Featured on the SHIB magazine front cover, I think, is massive for us, and really shows the importance of being an official SHIB project and how much value we're going to be getting and working directly with the SHIB team and in concert with them. Tons of Twitter spaces and AMAs have occurred. I'm actually going to be on one with NFAI right after this called Blockchain Beers. So really growing our relationships and the brand and notoriety in the space. Tons of YouTube videos have come out from amazing content creators like Crypto Marxist, December DeMarcus, Random Arts, and Zach Humphreys as well. I think Austin Hill is also in the midst of creating a video. We've had articles featured in Daily Coin, Crypto Basic, International Business Times by some really great writers. We've short linked all of the links to those articles in our Telegram to make sure that new folks who are coming into the project and coming into the DAO are able to read those when they come into the Telegram. And of course, last night or this morning, I guess, depending on what time zone you're in, we announced that we hit 2K on Twitter. So the official K9 Finance account now has over 2,000 followers, which is amazing considering that I think it was just 7 days ago or maybe 8 days ago today that we put the first tweet out from the account. And all of our growth thus far is completely organic with opportunities like this. And there's been no bots, no paid traffic or anything like that. And I think that just speaks to the great community that we've built thus far. And in sort of like our marketing discussions that are going on in our community, I always like to say bots don't participate in DAOs, bots don't buy tokens, bots don't delegate tokens to secure the chain. So I'm very, very proud of what we've been able to accomplish thus far in terms of that organic growth. And I think that we have such an amazing holder base and community base right now that there's going to be a ton of room for more marketing in the future, but the organic growth is very special.
And from my perspective too, being that this has such an intense utility lined up, and that utility is still on track to be not even for spring, it's like a sleeping giant situation. So I would hesitate to even cry when marketing, or why not more marketing, or why are we not getting more exposure, because at this point it's organic discovery is going to come from when you're able to hold up these huge charts to really talk about that TVL number going up, and you're able to talk about how much of that is being done through the K9 Finance staking. I mean, there's going to be so many discovery opportunities, I guess is what I'm trying to say about what's going on here, because 2,000 right now is great, but that's 2,000 on the backs of like all the people that totally know the alpha about the cool things going on Shibarium. I'm not trying to pat everybody's back or anything here, but like by default, if you're in here in these early meetings and listening to these things like that, you're probably on the early side of what's going on. And it's going to be one of those things that until they've been, it takes so many levels of exposure for somebody to really be interested in something. I think it's like 9 or 10 times you have to be exposed to something before you really want to make a buying purchase. It's going to take a lot. But when people find out about it, it'll be those huge numbers of TVL, I think, that really makes it stand out. So the marketing that you're doing now, it's going to be very organic as those numbers go up. What have the community members, because we got about 10 to 12 more minutes, because I want to give you time to freshen up before the next spaces. What have been things that you've heard frequently from the community? Because I haven't had anybody raise their hand yet to ask any questions, which means that they don't have any questions, or they just don't want to come up and speak, or they can't otherwise come up and speak. So what have been things, as you've been out and about frequently in these events, that you yourself have found yourself answering a lot that you could maybe get out in front of right now?
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to CryptoMarxist, otherwise known as Bone Army. Spent about an hour on the phone with him last night. He's an amazing Shib Army YouTuber. Chatted with him so much last night, and he had amazing questions. And I kind of made a list from our discussion there. And the purpose of that call was really to give him some more information on the project to continue making content. And we talked a lot about how does K9 differ from Lido, and I think that'll become more prominent here in our marketing too, to show people, okay, here's how the two projects differ. One of the members of our team, Turtle, is actually putting together a side-by-side diagram to explain that. But essentially, there's a few main ways. So the way that Lido works is when you delegate ETH and receive staked ETH, or I pronounce it Steeth, in return, the revenue that's coming from the validator is shared in the form of a reflect token. So if you put in 1 ETH and you get 1 Steeth in return, after a week or two, you might have 1.1 Steeth, which then you could go return for 1.1 ETH. And that's great, but it really benefits people who are using the validator system more so than people who own the governance token for Lido. So the governance token for Lido is called LDO. And if anybody here wants to look up the chart, you're more than welcome to. It's a very flat chart. There's not much volatility in the coin. And one thing that we fundamentally changed from the token economics of Lido is that we're sharing the majority of these validator rewards directly with K9 token holders. So when people stake K9, they earn Bone from the validator. So that's a fundamental difference. We're not doing that reflect token, and think as a community that that's going to benefit K9 token holders more so than it would benefit governance holders from the Lido model. Another benefit is that so Lido is live on multiple blockchains, one of which is Matic, which is actually Shibarium is a similar fork off of Matic. So we had taken a lot of inspiration from the Polygon Lido contracts that Lido built there. But a fundamental difference that we changed from that model is that, if you remember at the top of the call how I spoke about how we are driving TVL directly to Shibarium. So when somebody delegates Bone, their K9 Bone is going to be directly on Shibarium. And I think we're starting to understand why that's great for the entire ecosystem. The way that Lido does it for their Polygon contracts is that the Matic is delegated on ETH, but when you receive staked Matic, that value is still on ETH. So people would need to bridge their staked Matic to the Polygon blockchain in order to use it within the Polygon ecosystem. And when we were speaking with the community early, we identified how important it's going to be to have liquidity on Shibarium and help the community there. So we bypassed that model completely and made sure that when people are delegating Bone, they're receiving K9 Bone directly on Shibarium, and we're not going to make people go through an extra step to bridge their K9 Bone over to Shibarium, because we want to make K9 Bone a critical aspect of driving value on Shibarium and liquidity for all projects, and felt that was very important. I think those are the most salient differences, but we are going to be putting out some marketing collateral in the near future that our designer's just working on to make sure that we're highlighting these points and that the community can really understand that.
Now, I had a question because as I was reading some of these things we had talked about before the show, I saw something about meme Mondays. What's a meme Monday?
Oh, yeah. So that was a fun idea that members of the community came up with. So every Monday is going to be K9 Meme Monday. So every single Monday, you'll see a meme prompt come out. I believe this week it was Star Wars, or maybe it's Star Wars on Monday. I don't have that off the top of my head, but essentially what we're asking of people there is to post a related meme that goes out from the meme prompt that'll come out from the Twitter account. And every month there'll be some winners chosen for like the best memes of the month. And I think together as a community, we can come up with some sort of fun prize there for the people participating week after week.
That would be neat. I know meme contests can really drive a lot of interaction and stuff. I've been active in those myself, so that's a fun idea. Is that also the what's K9s of the month then?
Yep, K9s of the month is going to be the 30th of every month, and I think this is really important as part of a DAO to make sure that we're recognizing people who are doing incredible work for the community. So on the 30th, the last day of every month, we have a 29th in February of this month, which is cool. The last day of every month, we'll be shouting out individuals in the community via the official Twitter account of K9, who are basically the K9s of the month, who need to be recognized for their work and what they're doing, whether it be moderating the community or sharing a lot of news or educating people about K9 with their own platforms. Maybe it's content creators, maybe it's somebody who's creating incredible artwork and graphics. So those people will be given shout outs and recognition within the DAO every single month.
Is there going to be a way that users can submit people for that recognition somehow?
I think right now, I think this process will evolve, but right now I think that the recognition is really going to come in the form of just chatting in our official Telegram channel. And I definitely encourage people to give those shout outs in the Telegram channel, but I'm sure as it evolves, we will come up with a more sophisticated process where the DAO can make these decisions together.
That sounds good. Easy enough. So in long and short, if you work hard enough, it might be there. Anyway, we're getting up to what would be the 15 minutes till the hour. And two things I want to say is, one, we always want to try and make sure that we're aware of people's time, that we're not wasting time, and that we're not prattling on about useless stuff. So like I said, nobody has raised their hand yet. This is going to be last call for raised hands, questions, concerns, comments. If anybody wants to say anything nice to Buzz before we go, because what I want to talk a little bit about before we go is that we won't be here next week. Buzz, you're actually getting ready to, like I mentioned a little earlier, kind of take like a developer hibernation period, right? You're going to disappear off the grid to finalize some of this stuff before TGE, and that results in us not doing this next week, right?
Yeah, pretty much. So, I am preemptively anticipating that the biggest question that we're going to get now that the light paper has been released is, when the heck is the token launching? And we're already getting it a ton in the chat. And when we put out dates, we want to be very, very confident that those dates can be met. And in order for me and our team and the entire community to be confident that when a date is put out that we can stick to it, we basically just need to audit all of our code, audit how legal is going, audit how marketing is going, like how are our numbers sort of growing, and do sort of just like a focused 1 week period of auditing all of these situations and coming up with a date internally of exactly when we can launch, making sure that everything is organized from an accounting standpoint. All of the wallets are in order, multi-sigs are set up. So there's a litany of very important tasks that are better done in sort of solitude, if you will, to make sure that everything is very organized, everything is very secure. And when we put out a date, when we kind of come back from this sort of just like 6-day dev hibernation, so to speak, that date is going to be stuck to. And I think this is just the most efficient way for us to get that answer to people in terms of when we're going to launch. It will be early March, like I've communicated in the Telegram community thus far, but expect within 10 days that we will have a firm date for exactly what that date's going to be. And we're not going to do any sort of surprise launch, nothing like that. We're going to put that date out publicly. It's going to be early March. I would expect that late February is when people who participated in the pre-sale will be sent their tokens. These tokens will be locked, which means that the transfer function in the token will be turned off. This is done by the DAO multisigs. The DAO multisig has this one-time unanimous power to turn the transfer function on. And the only time that the transfer function will be turned on is when we do the launch on Uniswap. So people will be able to get their tokens in their wallet. They won't be able to move them, but they will be able to do great things like add the contract address to their wallet. As a DAO, we will be able to add the contract to things like CoinMarketCap, CoinGecko, Etherscan, and make sure everything is verified on all of these channels prior to going to TGE. And that, I feel, is just best practice for security, educating the community. There's not an insane amount of rush for people to, when the token goes live on Uniswap, they don't need to simultaneously add the contract address to their wallet, verify that it's from an official source. And I think it's going to make sure that the launch goes very smoothly, securely, and that everybody has time to prepare, and we're not giving any ammo to scammers. Because anytime there's going to be a hyped launch like this, like we're already seeing it, there's a lot of great enthusiasm in our community. I get tens of messages a day of people wanting to get into the pre-sale even though it's closed, and just feel it's very important to give people enough time to prepare, to know the contract address, and make sure that nobody gets scammed and the launch goes smooth. So yeah, just wanted to put it out there that we're taking a little bit of a dev hibernation, gonna figure all that stuff out and get everybody a firm date.
I can actually respect that, because I've worked with enough people to know sometimes you don't need to be active in the chat. There's pressure for team members, moderators, developers, anybody that's involved in a project in any kind of a fashion often feel like they need to be active to answer every question. And sometimes that's just not the case. And in particular, if what you're doing in the background is that important, you don't have to. And I believe that there's probably enough people now in there that you can trust that know what they're doing to moderate well. So good luck to you, sir. I salute you in your week away, because I know how hard that can be. We're like 4 minutes away from shutting down the space, you guys. Not a single hand came up. Buzz, I don't know if they just don't want to talk to us, or if we just didn't leave anything for error. But we, like I said, we won't be back next week. There's going to be an off period, but we will all probably be available in the Telegram if you have any questions and stuff like that. And in the meantime, next Thursday after, this will be a more regular occurrence. There's going to be a weekly DAO update, same time. It's very likely at some point that I might be logging in through the K9 account, but one way or another, follow me and Buzz and the K9 account. In one way or another, you won't miss it. So unless we missed anything, Buzz, did we got anything? What would you say to them before you go as you disappear away into your developer cage for the week? Anything to say to the fine folks?
Well, I would say due to the technical struggles at the beginning of the spaces that you'll definitely be getting access to the account. I appreciate everybody sort of just waiting for that 10-minute period for us to get everything going. But we will have an expert other than myself running this account moving forward. So I appreciate everybody's patience there. I think what I would like to say to people is just how proud I think I am personally just at the growth of the community, the people who are getting involved. I mean, there's so much excitement. Somebody said to me today in a chat that they like to compare Shibarium to a small town vibe versus a city vibe. And I thought that was a really great analogy because in small towns, people really help one another out. They're very friendly. And they said ETH is sort of like the big city. But what I would probably like to leave people with is that big cities become big cities because there's incredible infrastructure built. There's roads, there's big buildings, there's housing complex. And K9 Finance is going to be that critical infrastructure to bring Shibarium from that small city a rural town to a big city. So that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Nice, I like that. That's got a comfortable vibe. But that's good enough for me to close it on. Now, as far as me having control of the X account, what I would have is a vision for everybody going forward, because I know we're not doing the spaces next week, but this will be a evolutionary spaces. And what I mean by that is it's going to change shape over time, as the community grows and changes in shape and changes in volume and changes in hype. There are some weeks this might be a crazy spaces because maybe there's listings, maybe there's crazy green candles. And then there are going to be other weeks where we're talking to guests about similar products or releases or things like that. So this could be a very cool place to be. And it is my intent, as having been the person that was at least given the opportunity to get up here and do a little bit of that, to work with you guys to make this a fun spaces. So without further ado, I'm ready to shut it down. Follow us, guys. We'll be here next time. Same place, K9 Finance's weekly DAO update. Week number 4, man. We'll see you next time. Buzz, have a good time. Thanks for the opportunity, brother.
See you, everyone. Thanks for joining. And any questions, further questions, join the Telegram, and happy to answer those. And I'm also going to be jumping on another space here called Blockchain and Beers. So it's in about 5 minutes. If anyone wants to join there, feel free to join. But otherwise, going to end this one. And that concludes our week 4 DAO update. No meeting next week, but the week after we will conclude with begin with week 6. So thanks, everyone.